Hi, welcome back to the workshop for episode 11 of the GGBO 2022 build. And this time we're going to crank the wobbly bandsaw up again and make some kerfing. Okay, so we got all this glued together in the last episode, and you might think, well, we're kind of ready for a top and a back on this thing to kind of get it finished off as an actual guitar body. And we nearly are, but not quite. There's a few little steps that we need to do first, and the most important at this stage is both strengthening this structure, and also we wouldn't be able to glue the top on to this 3mm thick rib. There just isn't enough glue area, so it would be a substantial weak point. Same applies for the back. So to create a little bit more surface area for that to happen, we need some kerfing, which we will then glue around the perimeter of the rib. We do that top and bottom, and it will create, there's probably an extra 6 or 7 mil there. So when you combine that with the rib, you're talking 10 mil gluing surface, which is adequate for the job that we need. Now I've got some bits left over from my last build, so I don't need to make the whole amount, but I do need to make some more. So I've got a little offcut of sapele here, and handily it's actually spot on in terms of being the right thickness. So we'll get this to the bandsaw and get it ripped down into some 7mm strips that we can then turn into the kerfing. Okay, and for the next stage in this operation, we need a very, very high-tech bit of kit. It's what I refer to as the Kerf 2000. And basically all this is a little block of MDF that my bandsaw blade can run in. And it has a little piece of metal here that's glued into the block and acts as a stop. And if I just take this piece of prepared kerfing, I can show you how it works. Basically, that will stop it cutting right the way through effectively. It's not 100% foolproof, but it does kind of work, and then that will give you that kind of flexible kerfing that you need. Okay, so let's get some of these slots cut. Okay, so I've got a bunch of that cut, and all that remains to be done now is we just need to chamfer off one of these edges. So that's another trip back to the bandsaw. But before I do that, I just want to have a very quick chat about GGBO in general. Now, I've been trying my very best to keep up with things, and it's not easy because there's lots and lots of builds out there, but there's some absolutely amazing stuff going on. And sadly, there's a lot of stuff going on that isn't actually getting a lot of exposure or kind of enough recognition, as far as I'm concerned anyway. I don't include myself in that. I'm very, very happy with the kind of viewership that I'm getting on these videos. It's been brilliant for me so far, and just the communication I'm having with all the people who are watching them, the feedback I'm getting makes it very, very worthwhile for me. But I am aware that there's a lot of people out there who are kind of almost building alone, not very many people watching them. So I think what we should do is, if any of you out there are watching builds that you think are good and deserve a bit of a showcase, drop me a link in the comments to those builds and I will try and give them as much exposure as I can. I'm going to start the ball rolling by pinning a comment with a link to my mate Jürgen's build, which I think is terrific. So if you want to go and have a look at that, I'd be very, very grateful, and I'm sure he would be too. And if you're watching a build out there which you think deserves a bit more exposure, or even if it's your own build, just let me know and I'll see what I can do. Right. Let's get these back to the bandsaw. And as you can see, I've got a very Heath Robinson setup here to do this. It's basically a temporary fence fastened to the bed of the bandsaw, which is at a 45-degree angle. I'm using a temporary one because the actual fence is way too tall for this application. And then I've got a feather stick just to hold everything in place without me having to get my fingers anywhere near it. And I'm simply going to run these lengths through and just take off the corner just to shape that bottom edge down a little bit. It just takes out some of the bulk from the kerfing. Okay, get the ear defenders on and get cutting this down. Okay, so there we have a bunch of kerfing made. With a bit of glue and a bit of clamping, will bend very easily to the shape of this guitar. And as well as adding the glue area that we need, it will strengthen this up no end. So it really is a vital job on this stage of things. So the next job is to obviously get all of this lot glued in, but I'm not going to do it now. I'm going to save that till next time. I'm going to keep it short and sweet today after yesterday's mammoth. So I'm going to go in and get myself a much deserved cup of tea, and then we can break the glue out tomorrow and get all of this glued in. So don't forget to leave me some suggestions for the builds we might want to be showcasing. Like if you've liked, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so, and I'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye.